Hello guys, my name is Moses Bolarta. With this presentation, I'm going to give my opinion about a remote work policy from a previous employer, my previous employer. And with that policy, it covers a telecommuting for as a hybrid and a remote work that is a full-time. Both of them covers the same policy and governance. With my previous employer's remote policy, and as I started to look at it again, I, I am able to figure out 8 failures or 8 security failures. The first one is the using of personal devices for work. And so they have this policy where they said uh, employees can use their own device at home or they can ask requests to be given to them for working at home. First policy, a request of a device for remote work could impact cost reduction of telecommuting, which could delay approval or it could be denied. And then on the second part, it says private laptop may not be used for telecommuting. So like the security risk of this is see a vulnerability in securely hardening the device. Either it's a personal use or it's a company issued device or laptop. And another 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 aspect of it is that applying of security patches in a timely manner can be overlooked by home workers. The second security failure that I want to discuss is the access of sensitive data through unsafe Wi-Fi networks. So this could be a home Wi-Fi, or an employee could go out for a coffee and use a public Wi-Fi that is unsecured. A home network is actually not totally secured because there is no firewalls or any protection mechanisms that are added as compared to an enterprise or organization. The third security failures that I would like to discuss is that employees ignore basic security practices. This vulnerability, employees tend to disregard exposure of their screen while they are in a public network. Policy should indicate or remind employees of this type of scenarios, or even provisioning their laptops or devices with such a warning during log on. Security failure that I see with this policy is using of online tools from while working at home. Some employees, and due to the nature of their work, they have elevated privileges on the local machines, or which allow them to install and download softwares while online. This type of access can lead to more avenues of exploitation or penetration of the system by cyber criminals. Another security failure, in my opinion, is establishing weak passwords of these employees, especially the remote workers. Devices and remote devices and environment of remote workers can be easily penetrated by cyber criminals, and more so when their login credentials have a weak password. Security failure of this policy is phishing and ransomware attacks. Most employees could not spot a scam, which can lead to compromise of systems, company credentials, and breach of their data. Next security failure that I would like to discuss is the working hours. So the policy does not mention the actual hour of operation. So actually remote workers have their can be connected to the company network all the time, 24 hours, and leave it open. Working hours should still be indicated on the policy so that there is an awareness of the person of when to power off and power on their devices. A device that is not locked and remain powered on for a longer period of time can be exploited easily after infiltration of an attacker. Employee logins on the company network can actually be staged through a domain controller or Active Directory so that employees are kicked out of the network connection a working after working hours. The last security failure of this policy, in my view, is that unencrypted existence of file sharing. Transmission of sensitive files should be encrypted when sending or receiving files from one location to another, and vice versa, which is in case for remote workers. Cyber criminals can intercept those packets, which can lead to identity theft, ransomware, and data breach. On this slide and the next one, I am only reflecting the relationship of previous mentioned security failures, the one that I mentioned earlier, with contrast to confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and including the security controls that would conceptualize those failures. This rating is only based on my understanding or information assurance of the policy from my previous employer. This is the second slide that shows the relationship of the security failure in regards to the CIA triad. On this slide and the next slide, this is a table where I show the, the security failure of remote policy and what could be the type of violated security principle. I am only trying to reflect the security failure of the remote policy from the previous employer and what are the security principles that has been violated in my own opinion. With this slide, I am recommending the security principles that should be fixed or applied on that organization's remote policy for home workers. If you observe on the list, these are actually the violated security principles from that remote policy. This last slide are references from good sources of scholarly journal relating to the topic of this presentation. And so with that, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I was able to provide a little information about security principles in cybersecurity. Thank you.